Hello and welcome to Free Practice 2 here for MotoGP here at Silverstone. It's looking to be quite an interesting Free Practice 2. There has been news about Ayagura. He is rumoured to possibly have a fractured tibia after his high side yesterday in Free Practice 1, but hopefully he'll be okay. And that of course means that he most likely will not take part in the rest of the weekend. The session is about to begin. The riders are about to head out onto the track. And Free Practice 2 has now commenced. Everyone's started to make their first runs. Just going to turn up my track noise a tiny bit because I feel like you need a little bit more voice to the track, and I can't really hear it that well. Looking currently at Jack Miller going around the track. Now, Jack Miller over the season so far seems to crash at least once a weekend, and he's already crashed once this weekend, so hopefully that is his lot for the weekend. Though knowing me, I've probably just done a commentator's curse, and he's probably going to crash out. Let's face it, that's the way it goes in MotoGP and in all motorsports. Looking right now at Quartararo heading out of the pit lane and onto the circuit. Slight glitch there on my timings. Well, on my TV pictures, it is buffering, so I currently have no idea what is going on in the session. I'm assuming this is a Wi-Fi. Ah, here we are. It's caught back up. Well, a delay of a couple of seconds possibly. Though hopefully that does not happen again. I'm just going to turn my Wi-Fi off because I want to give as much power to... Oh, and immediately as I turn my Wi-Fi off, it buffers slightly again. Hold on. Am I holding... Okay, I can hear it a bit more. This is a very aggravating headset. Right, so as the riders make their first warm-up laps, I shall read you through what tyres everyone has chosen for Free Practice 2. Right, so we have everyone seemingly to go on both a front soft and a rear soft, which is honestly not a bad choice for this circuit, but weather conditions currently are cloudy, and I would say it's minutely windy. We had buffering, by the way. Just informing Joshua before he goes off to do... Oh, Ayagura has been declared unfit for the rest of the weekend with a possible fracture to his right tibia. He will undergo more checks in Barcelona. So he's okay, but his tibia is fractured. So that is a shame for Ayagura. He will not take part in the rest of the weekend. But as I was saying, get well. But it is currently, I would say, minutely windy, not as windy as yesterday, which obviously caused quite a lot of issues with the riders constantly going off corners that were majority on the left-hand side for turning. So hopefully that does not continue today, because I honestly don't think their bikes can take much more of this. So I am going to briefly pass over to TNT whilst the riders get their first lap times in. Actually, do you know what? They all seem to be improving. So, and I think they're about to all show up with their first lap time. So I shall wait a couple of minutes to throw over to TNT and give you the lap times that are about to head out onto the screen. Oh, here's a replay. What is this replay of? I'm just going to turn this up. That is of Alex Marquez going in front of, I believe, Jack Miller, or at least a member of that team, and he getting angry about it when he's the one coming up on the inside. I suppose he was trying to go on a faster lap and Miller was not, so that could be why he was angry, and obviously showing a little bit of aggravation there towards that rider. Right, so times are currently in, or about to be. Bagnaia has gone top so far with a 2 minutes and a 1 second .228. I always hate when there is like a 2 on the screen. It always throws me off for some reason. So, here are the timings coming through properly now. I can see loads of red sector times heading on the screen. It's always a very difficult time, the first 5 minutes of the session, because they're not actually properly settling times. And they're just riding around the track. And that's a little bit of extra light appearing. That's actually a really nice effect with that piece of light dropped on that whiteboard right there. But times are about to head on to the screen, and I do not know what's happening. I'm being minimized. Gigantic. Yes. So Aldegur currently setting a time which is 0.4 faster than that of Bagnaia's current one, which honestly, the times that they set on the warm-up lap weren't exactly fast, and I know they're not meant to be, but even for a warm-up lap, I think they were quite slow, about 3 seconds slow, because yesterday, during the free practice 1 in practice, they were setting at least 2-minute ones, though a lot of the riders currently setting 2-minute 4s. So that is definitely something to watch out for. Perhaps the wind is affecting them more than we realise. And bsky is looking to go top with being a 2nd and a 10th. And yes, I'm saying a 2nd and a 10th because it is literally 1.144 seconds ahead of Bagnaia's possible time. And I just heard a really strange sounds on the speaker system. I can only imagine it comes from Joshua's side of the commentary. I'm just accidentally hearing that somehow, though I am not sure. Though times are about to head out onto the screen. Alex Marquez goes top with a 2-minute .718 with Miller in 2nd. Oh, that's a problem. My timing screen has currently frozen. Right, I'm going to have to go off of this. Bagnaia goes top with a 1 minute 59.756. bsky goes 2nd. Mia is 3rd. Ralph Fernandez goes 4th with a 2 minute, I don't know because there's no timing screen. I'm just going to have to quickly inform Joshua of this situation. I'm going to throw over to TNT while this happens.
An inline 4-through crank through that a much abused to match an 850 V4? I'm not sure you can.
Oh, Aleix Espargaro is going to go wide there. Set a couple of goals at that one.
He answered questions to the press before the weekend. We know it's been a huge story, the Jorge Martin story. I've had a few people comment here and there about it. The fact is, nobody's heard from Jorge Martin in the story. And so we have obviously reported the fact that he has been reported as saying that he's not sure about the 2nd year of his Aprilia deal. Aprilia put out a statement saying we've got a 2-year contract. There's an impasse, something's happening, but we haven't heard from Jorge or his manager directly. We've only heard the official statement from Aprilia. They have not done any other interviews. They've not put anything else out there, so it's hard to know exactly. And on top of that, none of us know what's in black and white in any of the contracts, but all we know is, and that's a strange one, isn't it, from Alex Marquez.
Right, I'm just going to quickly take over. Alex Marquez has crashed and there is a yellow out on the circuit in
it's red flag.
Red flag. Right. Yeah, they're all putting their hands up, and that's either a surrender or a please put the red flag out now look from Alex Marquez. Let's see how this happened. So he was going round the inside. Oh, he was basically high-sided sidewards off of the bike, and that was almost a very bad accident down at turn 15, given I believe it was Zarco, or Zarco's teammate, right next to him, who could have accidentally ran over Alex, but thankfully fate avoided that.
That's a very nasty high side as well, coming through.
Though all of the riders have called for a red flag to occur since Alex is not on the right side of the track. And is that the... Yeah, that is the timing screen's back. Thank you, Joshua.
Pleasure.
Red flag obviously is out. And that bike is done for. He's going to need a second bike. And they're trying to get it going. Or
Well,
moving it.
he's right near the pit lane entry, so even though it's a damaged bike, if you can get it into the pit lane, it'll be a bit better. Anyway, I'm off to Formula 1. I just saw your message. If it does, you can see me. I'm in the commentary box over there.
Yeah, I went to that because I thought, okay, if he's keeping an eye on this, he will notice something's wrong if I'm already on that screen.
Well, I can't see it. Oh, it's you.
Oh, that. I was checking the stream to see whether it went. They could hear the TNT commentary. It's that one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so. Right, so Alex Marquez still looking at his bike for now. And
he can't restart it. He's done for. Right, I'm off.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
there's still bikes out on the track. They should be heading out into the pit lane now. This is definitely working, right? Oh, there's massive amounts of debris, and there's debris near the racing line. Here's another replay of the incident. He catches the curbs around turn 15, and then it just completely high-sides him from dropping the front of the bike from him. Oh yes, I can go to the camera. Hi. Forgot that. I'm just going to increase the track noise a little bit more. Tell me in the comments whether the track noise is okay. And you can just see Alex get thrown entirely from the bike. That was quite a bad high side, but it could have been much worse. He's okay. And he seems to have landed completely out of the way of the riders. And if commentary box can be a little bit quieter. And I now have a radio if there's any more problems. Alex Marquez is currently examining his, I think that is the front of the bike where the issue occurred. And he's being told to just let it go, let it go. But he's just like, no, I am determined to make sure this bike gets going again. I've never seen someone so determined to fix a bike on track. Of course, this red flag will be a delay. Oh, that is a problem. I can hear Joshua. I can hear Joshua currently, so that is a problem. I'm going to hand over to TNT while I inform Joshua that I can hear him.
It's delaying, isn't it, the restart? All this is, we could be going now. It's one of those.
Yeah, he's doing what every rider would do.
Absolutely, I'm not saying that. Otherwise.
It's good because I want to listen
Through this.
to the marshals.
Yeah.
Like normally you can't tell what they're saying, but we're in England.
So Alex Marquez.
They're hard to
Tripping
start
up
these
over a
bikes
white
anyway, aren't they? They're not easy to fire up. It is actually downhill towards lane.
Yeah, tell those two marshals that at the back who down there.
Who were starting to blow.
So Donatello, his crew chief, a little pensive thought. Nothing there to be concerned about. We know it wasn't nothing other than just stay away from your white lines and curbs.
Right, that issue has been fixed now for Joshua with everything, so I shall go back onto my screen. Quite a few issues today, though. What do you expect? Here's a replay of turn 5 from... That is Marc Marquez. Oh, geez, the Marquez brothers are really having quite a day of it, aren't they? And that's just him going around turn 5. Then here we see Alex Marquez being pushed up pit lane. Well, that is the most bizarre thing I've ever heard. Why can't he just go on a bike? One of those moped things that they use to get back onto the circuit. I mean, I get pit lane is right there, though. That is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. Well, one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. it doesn't even come close to the most bizarre. So there's Alex Marquez being pushed down pit lane in an attempt to get the bike back so that the session can restart. And have they actually managed to get that bike going? If they have, it's going very, very slowly. Session will pit lane opens at 11:25. That is right now. So session is about to recommence. But Alex Marquez has suddenly just lit up the timing screen showing that he's moving again, but he's not actually moving. That is quite funny actually, getting all the times coming back on the screen now as all the riders are just watching this scene unfold. They are just all watching as their teammate just gets pushed down pit lane. It's actually really, really funny. That's Vinales looking on right now. Vinales currently in 21st because his lap time, which wasn't that bad, got ruined by Alex, unfortunately. I'm just double checking on my end that Joshua's audio was good, which it is, because of his doing that, whatever he did to the pictures. And I can hear very minutely, so that's good. It's better. All the riders are about to head back out onto track now, which obviously this means even less time that the riders have on the circuit, and not because there's a red flag, because obviously that stops the time, but this means that they're going to have to A, warm up their tyres again, B, get a warm-up lap, and here's another replay of the Alex Marquez incident and him almost crashing into, that is the number 35, so that's who he almost crashed into, him being high-sided. It's kind of strange. Imagine this is the bike, this is Alex, going down, starting to lift off, the bike turns around this way, and then he gets thrown out into the track. That was how the high side occurred. It was quite an odd one for a high side, but do you know what? New things happen every day in motorsport. New schedule, Q1 will start at 11:55 and Q2 will start at 12:20. So a 5-minute delay, I believe, in both of those. And I shall check in a moment whether that messes up our schedule at all. And oh, yellow flag! Sector 2, right on the grass though, so that's actually quite a perfect place to go off. That is Pedro Acosta crashing in Sector 2. What corner is that? Here's a replay of it happening. He just loses it on entry to whatever corner that is. Honestly, I think that might be, I want to say 6. I want to say that's turn 6. Turn 7, I was so close. He was going to go on to turn 7 any second. Right, so that was Acosta going down at turn 6, and obviously his tyres are not heated up at all, so it's no surprise that he's gone off. Dramatic changes in temperature. That is Marquez heading out onto the track as my screen buffers slightly. Just gonna, yep, you can hear. Why are they all crashing? Do you know what? That's a good point. I do not know why they were all crashing. With Alex, he hit the curb, so that is the reason why Alex crashed, because he, for some reason, with the being on soft tyres and him hitting the curb, it must have unbalanced the front of the car. We're seeing, the bike, we're seeing a lot of drops to the front this weekend as my pictures buffer yet again. I'm currently 2 minutes behind almost on this screen, which is a concern. Actually, that is something to be concerned about. Right, so I'm going to briefly hand over to TNT while I just ask Joshua whether there's any possibility so I can catch up with my TV pictures.
Exactly. So for what Silvan was saying about the medium, you just felt like no one was that confident with it. It seemed to be quite true.
No, we heard that coming from quite a lot of riders.
So then are we going to see soft front, soft rears, do you reckon?
I reckon.
For the sprint race,
Yeah,
10 laps later?
I think so.
And then what does that do in terms of your front end feel?
Well, luckily at this track, it's not a heavy braking track. So look, if you run the soft front, you're taking away that crash element. You're going to create a little bit more feel. You're going to have a little bit more maximum lead side grip. But in places like here, into at the end of the Wellington Straight, into Brooklands, it could be a little bit squirmy under brakes. It's sort of the tyre moves a little bit more. I'd be going for the soft front. I've raced around Silverstone enough to know what the sensations are. How about you, Emlav?
Yeah, I agree, but then you think of the last 2 laps, the front just starting to walk a little. Bezzecchi's the one rider who can make this hard front work here quite early, but I think it needs a few more degrees temperature and a little bit less wind chill to be confident to hit, especially when you go up through this section of the racetrack and you change onto the left side. You grab the front brake if there's 5 degrees less temperature in your front tyre just here.
No thanks.
No, exactly.
We've seen them though, haven't we?
Yeah, we haven't seen them there. Oh, you do not want to crash there on the initial grab of the brake.
So Pecco Bagnaia is leading this session. Behind him, Marco Bezzecchi. So Bezzecchi following up his positive form this week. And with Joan Mir in there as well, who's confident. He says, a result's coming, I can feel it. Just not beginning.
Right, so I'm going to take over commentary for a minute while that gets sorted. Lap times are coming on, and Mia is currently doing quite a fast lap time as Morbidelli goes third, and then Jack Miller immediately takes over third position from Morbidelli with a 1:59.980. Brilliant time from Jack Miller recently. He has been going faster and faster with his times this weekend, and at those same times, about 30 seconds out, but I think that's kind of usual with everything. And it's getting the times back. Yes, I can deal with 7 seconds. It's usually a 7-second delay. It was 7. Okay, so, right. Currently setting fastest sectors 1 are Morbidelli, Bezzecchi, Aldeguer. And my pictures are finally back. Hallelujah. Thank you, Joshua, for your assistance. And I'm going to pass over to TNT.
Was definitely more excited than Pip about it, wasn't he?
So Fernandez out of Stowe towards the Welsh gate. Actually, he also said it's a better day than it looks. Proof will be in the eating of the pudding later on today for Raul Fernandez.
Yeah, teammate out for the weekend. Unfortunately, massive crash in the first practice session. He's got a slight fracture, it looks like, in his tibia. So he's out. He's going back to Barcelona for more tests, unfortunately, for the fast rookie Aldeguer.
Yeah, it's a really sorry time for Aprilia, isn't it? It's just not a good news story.
Right.
Apart from the fact that Bezzecchi, even Lorenzo Savadori actually.
I'm going to take over now. Aldeguer is looking to go about 3/10 ahead of what Bagnaia's time currently is. And I have no idea what Joshua just said on the radio there. 12 minutes, 20 left of the session. Aldeguer, just setting a fastest time of a 1:59.590, has already begun a fastest sector 1 lap. I mean, Aldeguer seems to be just going for it today. I mean, with his teammate obviously crashed out in this session, and I don't know whether he will continue or whether he will be able to get on his second bike. I think he's really showing, like, I can do this for the team. I mean, I know it's a free practice 2 session, but it is good pace to be shown even just during this. And what's happening there? That is between That is between Bezzecchi and I'm not quite sure who the other person is on the track, so I'm just going to see where Bezzecchi is out on the track. That was Vinales. That was Bezzecchi and Vinales having a little bit of a confrontation on the track. There is Aldeguer. It's currently 46 thousandths of a second faster than his own time. Is there anything stopping him? Whoa. Marc Marquez has just managed to get to Sector 3 in under a minute. How has he done that? A little bit of wobbling there for Aldeguer. Make sure to concern about that. I think the wind speed has picked up for the track, and hopefully not a crosswind happening. Marc Marquez enters Sector 4 with a 1 minute 20.892. Currently looking at the dash of Alex Rins. And it's, could that be counted as impeding? Is Rins doing a fastest lap? I am looking. Rins is not doing a fastest lap, thank goodness for Marc Marquez, otherwise that would be counted as impeding since he has just dropped right in front of Alex Rins. And it's, what can Marc do? He seems to be going fast all the way throughout the lap, and he goes top with a 1:59.178. That is 4 tenths faster than Aldeguer's time, a 1:59, and that is Alex Marquez making his way out onto the track finally with the use of his second bike, because obviously his first bike needs a little bit of work doing to it. I reckon they might be able to get that completed before qualifying begins, because I think it looked like a heavy duty impact for him, but it wasn't heavy duty to the bike itself. What happened to the bike was mainly the panels of the bike were chucked off and went out onto the track, and obviously it was a high side, so it looked more serious than it actually was, which is unusual for high sides, to be honest. I mean, we had a high side yesterday with Ayagura, and he's fractured his tibia. So, not a lot of damage for Alex Marquez. Quite lucky, I would say. I mean, they're going to be able to get that bike sorted quite quickly. 9 minutes left of the session. Now currently looking at Marc Marquez yet again on a slow lap, but yet only a little bit slower than his fastest time, and around about the same speed as what Aldeguer's fastest time actually was. What is the pace of that Ducati? It is absolutely incredible. Currently looking at Marini, who is looking to be in second position with being 3 tenths, almost 4 tenths behind the time of Marc Marquez. And let's have a look at the timing screen. We have further down the field Acosta setting a personal best Sector 1, and Alicia Spargo entering the mix, possibly going around, I'd say, 13th position when he finishes this lap with a personal best of Sectors 1 and 3. 8 minutes left of the session now. And let's have a look at how Alex is actually doing on that second bike. That's okay. That's either just the racing line being worn really a lot, and there being damp on the track for maybe the moisture in the air, or there is a little bit of oil on the track. Maybe it's just a camera angle, but that doesn't exactly look quite safe to me. Thankfully, I do think whoever it is outside of the racing line, just by a bit, though that is something to keep an eye on at the exit of the last corner. 7 minutes left to go of the session. Further down the field, Pedro Acosta is setting personal best, and where does he go? Goes 12th with a 2 minute .333. That is quite precise numbers right there. Was that someone going off in the background? Do you know, the thing about Silverstone, when you have MotoGP here, is the angles that you see the corners. You have a look at one corner, and then you can actually see the corner behind that, and the riders turning around that. So every time you look behind and there's a rider going past, it kind of looks like they're just skidding off of the track, and it's actually quite hilarious to see clouds forming out on the track. I'm gonna guess that the chances of rain have increased. 6 minutes left of FP2, and I believe the F1 stream might be having a little bit of an issue. I'll check on that later. I'm going to pass on for a couple of minutes to TNT, however. So
working well. We've got 3 Ducatis at the front, but we've not learned anything there. That's normal, isn't it, really? And then the Hondas look all right. I was looking further down. KTM is struggling again.
Yeah, but Betzin and Fernandez actually 8th and 9th. So Aprilia, has got something to offer here. Honda's 4th, 5th, and 10th. And as you say, KTM's Pedro Acosta 12th. Vinales 15th, Binder 17th, Bastianini 20th. That's last year's race winner, Bastianini. What can we see on this motorcycle, this development Honda that Alicia Spargrove's running?
New swing arm add-ons. The wings on the side of it are different to the bikes of the factory team at the moment. It's a little bit lower. You can see the carbon add-on there on the left side of the swing arm. There's always a few little tweaks, whether it was Taka Nakagami's bike, Alicia Spargrove's, in the past Stefan Bradl. They'll always bring something slightly different for the test team to evaluate on a race weekend.
And if you are, for example, Jorge Martin, and you sat at home questioning your life choices, questioning everything, questioning how long your career is in this sport, and you're seeing that Aprilia have Lorenzo Savadori as your only test rider out there, and actually he's having to race, so isn't getting to test too many things. You don't have, you're not doing wildcards and that sort of thing. And then you look across at Honda and you see Alicia Spargrove's riding this bike that looks like a spaceship, and you've got Taka Nakagami getting his best result as a replacement rider, and you've got someone as Stefan Bradl still testing for them, and you've got the Japanese Nagashima's back in Japan doing things. You're thinking, and Honda are actually starting to get results.
You're thinking, well, Honda have improved, let's say lap time wise this year, over half a second a lap at every track we've gone to. You look at Aprilia, they've not improved at all. So if you've got a get out clause in your contract, can you blame him?
A contract signed by both parties.
Absolutely, agreed and signed by both parties. Well, if there's a clause in there that you can get out, then
hey, it's not a good look, is it? If that's the situation.
But there are clauses in contracts. Yeah.
There are both sides that we can see in the story. And again, until we hear from all parties concerned,
we don't
hard
really
to get a full read of who said what, when, and where.
Jack's looking good on this bike.
Just to take over from them since they were on a little bit of a break. I'm just going to put you back to position 8 on the fifth thing, because I don't want to be too loud. 3 minutes left of the session now. And currently looking at Jack Miller, everyone seems to be about to set their faster times for the end of the session, even though technically these times don't go towards anything. They don't, unlike with practice, help with the qualifying and where you're going to be placed. These times are basically practice for the qualifying session, which happens directly after this. This is basically them getting a feel for the track, where everything's weak, what the quality of the track is currently like, whether there's wind speed problems. Oh, and a little bit of a wobble there for Alex Marquez. You're going to have to be careful, Alex. He is predicted to be going second place, which will take over from his teammate, Alex Gurr, looking to be only 55 thousandths of a second slower than his brother Marc Marquez. And is this Vinales we're looking at? No, this is, I think that was actually Acosta we were looking at just then. Yeah, it was Acosta we were looking at just then. Teams look so similar. So currently setting a personal best of Sector 1 and 2 fastest sectors 2 and 3 is Quartararo. Had to keep an eye on him in a second as Vinales. Oh, it wasn't Vinales. Vinales goes into 6th position. Who was that Red Bull? Binder. It was Binder. I am just guessing this for who it was. I am pretty confident it was Binder right now, though. Right, so as Quartararo exits the final corner and past the line, goes up into top. Quartararo goes top with a 1:59.032. That is about almost... Hold on, I need to be clarified on the screen how much of a difference that is. I believe it's about 10th. Yeah, it is about 10th and a half faster than Marc Marquez's time. He is currently the fastest man out on the track with 42 seconds left of the session. As Vinales has the possibility of going, I'm going to say into 5th, because he's at a fastest Sector 1, but his Sector 2 is something to be desired. Though further down the field, Bastianini is setting personal best. I'm going to say that's going to put him into probably about 14th, almost 12th. Though you watch will go into 6th or something. And where does Bastianini go on the whole of things? Oh, he just stays where he is. And though up the field, Vinales does a personal best of Sector 3. So maybe about 5th position, I would say. Oh, and on the F1, I think someone's gone off into that section with the chapel. That was a Sauber. Yeah, they have. No red flag though. As the session ends for FP2. Wait for everyone to make their times. And Vinales goes 4th with a 1:59.531. No one else seems to be improving any more this session. Then again, quite a lot of the field are currently in pit lane. So not much improvement out there. The last person to improve has been Vinales, though I shall read you through quickly the times that everyone has made. And there's a yellow out on the track. Is that... I believe it's Marc Marquez. There's a yellow out on the track. It's gone in now, though I believe that was Marc Marquez not crashing, but I believe that was him going wide on the entrance to Sector 4. Because that was... It wasn't the typical, oh, there's a yellow in this area, though it's just for safety reasons. That was just a yellow because Marquez went too wide, so he's gone off track. Right, doesn't look like there's going to be any... That's either actually Marquez or Bastianini, who also seems to be stopped quite near that sector. Though I shall read you through the times because no one seems to be making any practice starts for this session. It's yellow again, but that one's just mandatory. Right, so Quartararo tops the session with a 2-minute... That is not the time. Quartararo tops the session with, I remember his time, with a 1:59.032. I don't know how I remember that time. With Marc Marquez coming in second, with third being Alex Marquez. Vinales is in 4th. Aldeguer comes in 5th. 6th is Bagnaia. Marini is in 7th. Maybe we'll get a final answer to who went wide in a second, because I'm seeing these moments. And it's as they go to break while I read the rest of the ads. Not ads. Positions. Right, so Bagnaia is in 6th with Marini in 7th. 8th is Mia and Jack Miller is 9th. 10th is Morbidelli. Bezzecchi is 11th. 12th is Ralph Fernandez. 13th is Zarco. 14th is D'Antonio. Acosta is 15th. 16th is Alicia Spargro. 17th is Rins. Bastianini is in 18th. 19th is Brad Binder. Oliveira is in 20th. Salvador is in 21st. And Chantra is in 22nd. Thank you for watching. Right after this is qualifying, not Quartararo, who just topped the session. Please stay with us because you will be brought right over to that stream. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.